over, there's no escape. Over your shoulder, don't look away. Get your mind right for something you ain't ever seen. You better get moving, ready or not. It's about to go down, here it comes down. Better get moving.
We are boarding the flight. Here we go.
Still, only one choice now, battle uphill. Get your mind right.
As you can probably imagine, today was quite the exhaustive and hectic travel experience. I'm feeling really tired right now, so all I just want to do is go to bed and catch up on some much needed sleep hours to recharge tomorrow for the agenda, which starts bright and early around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I believe it's probably more like 6. It sounds a little bit more manageable and sane considering that most people here at the Oksana Hotel in Moscow have traveled pretty much the same time duration and length of a journey as I have to get here. So that being said, I'm really looking forward to chronicling the next few days, the experiences, narrating the process, and sharing that with you as well. So until then, have a great night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good morning from Moscow. As you can imagine, as any single international travel day is, yesterday was quite the hectic day. Today it is September 3rd. It is 9:08 in the morning, and I'm rested and I'm ready to share with you, super excited to share with you the rest of this trip. Let's just address the elephant in the room. Why am I in Russia? Well, last year for about 2 weeks in September, I came over along with my brother Chris. We came over with a group, with an organization known as the CCI, the Center for Citizens Initiatives. Our purpose here was to just understand a little bit more about Russia as a nation by getting to know some citizens on the ground-to-ground citizen level, as well as just interacting with some higher Russian diplomats as well. And we got to experience and have conversations, group meetings. There was about 40 people in our delegation last year, and we got to meet with Russians of all different social statuses. A bonus of the trip was that Chris and I, we were really into photography and cinematography, and so we were actually asked to be part of the media team that was to document this entire 2-week journey. So that was a bit of a bonus. It made us feel really included, and we actually worked on and got credit for some of the projects that were produced at the end of this 2-week journey. Our objectives this year are really quite similar to what they were last year. Sharon Tennyson, she is the woman who founded the CCI way back probably 30 or 40 years ago. She's been coming over to Russia many, many times a year doing this same sort of organization, leading people to foster a better understanding of Russia as a nation. She's actually arranged for our group this year to meet up with a couple of Russian marketers and Russian advertisers, business leaders, to learn more about the Russian market and the Russian social platforms here. Of course, owning a digital agency myself, I treasure every single opportunity I can. I always like to have a student mindset when it comes to learning about foreign social media platforms, potential opportunities that other nations have to offer, and just other foreign markets in general. And so this is really quite the opportunity of a lifetime, and actually my brother and I got invited to come with the delegation again once more and just take part in some of the opportunities. Even though we're not official members this year, we're still piggybacking on a lot of their experiences, and we're actually again part of the media team as well, and so we get inclusion in that regards. But anyways, we're pretty much going to have our devices on, our cameras on 24/7 to get the content that we need for this vlog, as well as the projects that the CCI has in mind to document this entire trip. So that's why I'm in Russia. We're going to be about here in Moscow. We're in Moscow right now, if I haven't already mentioned that. We're going to be here about 7 days. After this, we're going to 2 cities, Sergei Posad and Luga. We're going to be there for about 7 days as well. And finally, we're going to finish up our 30-day experience with 14 days in St. Petersburg, where we're going to have a lot of meetings with. We actually get to meet a Russian filmmaker that we got to meet last year again in St. Petersburg as well. So that's an experience I'm really looking forward to. And previously, we made a lot of connections in St. Petersburg when we were there last year. And so that's where we're going to be staying for about 14 days. We've actually rented an Airbnb. I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of that experience with you as well. I've got a lot of valuable content planned for that portion of our trip, so stay tuned. watch the entire series of my experiences in Russia. Today the plan is just to get things started. Chris and I are going to head downstairs, get some breakfast here in a few minutes. I think the bar actually closes around 9:30, so we got about a few minutes to get down there, get a bite to eat. At 10 o'clock, we're actually going to have a meeting with the rest of the delegation and visit or interview Vladimir Posner. Vladimir Posner is kind of like the Russian version of CNN's Anderson Cooper. He's a journalist. He's Russia's #1 TV icon, and we met with him last year. I'm actually going to hopefully show you a little bit of that interview or the meeting that we were able to have with him. I plan to ask him some questions. I think Chris is going to ask him some questions as well. So, we'll get an opportunity, hopefully get that on video. So after that, I think we're just going to connect with some fellow CCI delegates from last year and just take today easy, hopefully catch up on a little bit of sleep this afternoon. So that being said, hopefully you guys get to experience the entire journey with me, and let's get things started. Hello. We will not be there today, but we'll be more than able to catch up with you tomorrow. Chris and I are about to head down to breakfast, and the agenda for today, I believe, is we're going to be meeting with Vladimir Posner. This said at 10 o'clock. If no one is in the room, or if you're not at the room at 10 o'clock, then they're going to shut the doors and no one's allowed in. So make a mental note of that. We gotta really stick to our times here. Move my camera as well. Okay, so we get this. It's caught on my watch. How do you guys like this new watch? I just got it before the trip. We just got it a few days ago. My other one was great. I believe the brand was Skagin. But the problem is the battery ran out, and it's expected because it's been like 3 years, but still, I didn't have time to replace it. It was like 2 days before the trip, so just got this one on Amazon Prime.
You better get moving, ready or not. It's about to go down. Here it comes now. Better get moving, ready or not. It's about to go down. Here it comes now. Get ready. Get
What you might want to do is Google me. Should you succeed in understanding people here, who they are, what they are, and why they are, I think that when you go back home, where the picture of what's going on here is completely different from what is actually the truth, I think you just tell your story.
All right, we just finished our meeting with our CCI delegation with Vladimir Posner. He's a really prominent and famous Russian journalist. If you're interested in watching the entire interview, you just saw a few clips about that, but if you're interested in watching the entire interview in its full duration, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. He talks about a lot of the common ideals and threads of peace between both the American nation and the Russian nation, and where Russia's headed as a sovereign nation in the years to come. So if you're interested in finding and learning a little bit more about that, again, click the link in the description. Let's move on to the next event. A friend of mine he owns an agency, marketing agency, because that's what I love doing. Like, I love doing this. I love social media. I love trying to understand the algorithms and figure out how things work and then use that to the advantage of my clients. But the problem with pursuing an education in that regards is that the industry is changing so very fast that a marketing degree becomes obsolete within 6 months or a year. I want to be in 5 years. I want to have some sort of an influence. I want to be able to inspire people and impact people in some way. That's my vision that I have right now, and I don't know how to achieve that yet.
Paul, the one who was the manager of it, and his idea
International Monetary Fund
was talking just like you were 10 years ago.
Wow. Interesting.
He had his plan.
Confuse the world.
So here's the thing. One, I can easily put you in touch with Paul.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that.
Yes.
If you could
Just
see your way
all your friends
to go to Maine, if you did come out, I'm sure Paul or one of them could put you up.
I think I'm wondering, I'm actually starting to wonder if these are the same people you were telling me about.
Yeah.
And I thought, do they do marketing as well, or is it just exclusively media projects?
Marketing.
They just do marketing?
They go to training, they go to big conferences.
Uh-huh. Wow. That's impressive.
Patrick Company, here it is. Patrick Company, P-A-T-R-A, Patrick Company. If you're interested, all you have to do is say, hey, I'd like to maybe meet those guys.
Yeah.
And even if you don't go there, You could Skype call or FaceTime, but the journey you're starting is the journey they began 10, 12 years ago.
All right, so today is day number 2, and the agenda today, if I can remember it correctly, is going to go something like this. So Chris and I are going to go down, we're going to get some breakfast. Then we are going to meet with Vladimir Kozin. He, I believe, is a military specialist here in Russia. We're going to have a group meeting with him with our CCI delegates as well. Chris and I are going to be covering that with our cameras. And then after that, I believe Chris and I, we're going to have lunch with Peter. He's a 25-year-old young man here in Russia. I believe his dad is on the advisory council for Vladimir Putin. So it's kind of a really interesting guest that we get to have. I'm going to be introducing him to the group. So we're going to have lunch with him around 12 o'clock or so. And then after that, I think the rest of the day is just to walk around Moscow. Maybe we might visit the Red Square. We're probably going to take the metro somewhere and go visit the Kremlin. I think that's kind of on the agenda for the group as a whole. So that being said, my camera battery is kind of on low right now. For some reason, these outlets that I try to plug it into weren't charging the camera very fast. In like 2 hours, it only went up to 44% from 41%. So I might just have to leave the lights on. The card system is really interesting here because if you remove the card, it turns off all the lights for the room. So including all of the power as well. So if you want to sleep with the lights on and the power on to charge your electronics, then you got to leave the card in the door. So we might just have to figure something out. Maybe I can use my laptop to charge my camera all night or something like that. So anyway, that's not your concern. Let's figure this out. Let's get started. Let's head to breakfast. All right, you got all your stuff, Green? All right. Like that. I'm going to grab this card. Chris and I are going to try to see if we can get into this room. We're going to set up for our meeting with Vladimir Kozin. We just finished breakfast. We're going to try to get into this room. I got my card. Let's see if it works. I don't think so. I think you need a special card. Yeah, this is just a standard guest card. It's not going to work. I'm just going to have to wait for whoever has it. I mean, that would make sense. They're not going to have any guests get into the meeting room.
We believe that mass mutually assured security should be stamped and approved by our respective governments during security stability talks.
Nice to meet you. Is that how you say your name right? Peter?
It's bitter or better.
It would be nice for them to introduce you.
We can sit over lunch and just talk about what you want me to say. Just some facts about you to pre-frame the conversation.
Something here's not right. You know
He's also going to share with us some of his views and something that I'm particularly looking forward to about Russia's younger generation and some of the views that they hold regarding Russia's current state of affairs and also the appropriate policies therein. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming. All right, we've been all over the place today with a couple of meetings. Now we're finally back with some time to communicate. I pride myself in being someone who is always in the know about some sort of new change. If a new social media platform is introduced, some sort of new application is introduced, I want to be the first to know about it and to research its potential. If a friend of mine, which this situation happened recently, came to me and recommended a book that was an absolute must-read and life changer, I want to be the first to read about that new book from some sort of famous author, and I want to implement those action steps accordingly in my life, of course, if it's a self-help book. Even here in Russia, with the agenda that we have for our trip, I want to know all about it. I want to know what's going on. I want to be the guy that has a sense of direction and not the lack thereof. Today we recently had 2 meetings with 2 prominent Russian businessmen and advertisers. One of them was Rick Sobel and the other was Chris Weafer. Out of respect for privacy, unfortunately, we were not able to film the Q&A sessions that we had with them, but both connecting with them and conversing with them, asking them a few questions, and just being present in those meetings really put in perspective and made me truly realize how little I know about the Russian market and the advertising and marketing industries therein. The title for this vlog is going to be Restarting My Business from Scratch, and so far in the 5 days that I've been here, that's really how this entire surreal experience has felt for me. Trying to grasp the Russian social media platforms here, the demographics, the targeting, what works, what's the new trends, what are the new trends, the connections, the algorithms, and even the people that I've been able to be introduced to and have had the pleasure and honor and privilege of introducing to others is like starting from ground zero. I don't even know the basics of what's working here in Russia, even from a marketing perspective, compared to what I might be in the know of and be implementing on a daily basis for some of the clients that I have back in the United States with my own business and perhaps with my own network as well. However, that being said, that's the beauty of it, because there is an unparalleled opportunity here to learn more. I always like to have a student mindset. I'm a firm believer in the idea, and of course, I think everyone should be as well, you can never learn enough. Knowledge is kind of like a drug for me. To know more than my competition, to experience and to be put in situations and undergo events that they have not, is truly an addicting sensation. This whole 5-day experience thus far, and even some of the meetings that we've had, even though this is just a scratch on the surface of what we're going to be experiencing in the next 25 days to come, has been a personal call to action to me to become better at who I am, to become better at what I do, even if it means at times feeling like you're starting from the ground up. Because at the end of the day, that's all how every single major achievement or major accomplishment, any sort of industry, empire is built, is starting from the ground up, not copy and pasting the results that you've had from previous successes, even though that sometimes is maybe the experience that you bring to the table when starting a new venture. It all comes back to that principle of recognizing what you do not know and using that as fuel to run the engine of success in the future. The artistic metropolis of the city of Moscow, from the efficient metro system to the people to the rich cultural history, the entire nation was not something built in a day, but through sequential and meticulous efforts that were built upon the knowledge and experience of other nations and what had worked for them. Now, I know this goes without saying, of course, I don't know everything, but when what I do right now, starting a business, trying to scale that, build systems that are proven to work, and then being put in a situation where I find that I know next to nothing, that experience and that lack of knowledge is rather perplexing for me. Someone here said recently in a talk the other day, the more you know, the more business success comes from it. And these last few days have really just been a call to action for me to make a conscious decision to put myself out there, to learn more, because at the end of the day, let's face it, no one can promote you better than you can promote yourself. You are your own best advertising and marketing asset. Now, if you can utilize the reach and the influence you have to create fans and create loyal customers who love what you do, and then they become your marketing assets by word of mouth advertising, that's great. But at the end of the day, you have to be bold, you have to be courageous, and you have to be the one to take the first step. It's just been really a profound experience and opportunity, right? Opportunity for me to learn more, to become better at who I am, to become better at what I do, hopefully, and apply the knowledge and the experiences that I'm going to be learning, have learned, are learning, and will be learning. Take that experience, go back home, and really just start with a refreshed mindset so that I can benefit myself, those who I meet, the connections that I'm going to be meeting within the next few days, and of course you watching this vlog as well, learning from my experiences in that regards, because if we can all benefit, then no one misses out on any single opportunity here. So right now, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. We have to go to we are going to be going to, the entire delegation is going to be going to, I believe it's the Historic Gulag Museum here in Moscow. Pretty much for the last 4 days or so, we've been here at our hotel going to a couple of meetings. We actually have one later today where it's going to be at a certain foundation here in Moscow, so we're really looking excited for that. We're really feeling excited for that. I think we're going to have to dress up a little bit more formally for that because we are meeting a couple, important officials. So I don't exactly know what time that is happening. Chris, do you know what time that's happening later today?
Around 12:30.
Around 12:30? Okay, so right now it's about 10:44. You can see 10:44 Thursday, September 5th. So I'm gonna go get ready for that. I'll catch you guys later. Well, that was fun. This entire trip, only just beginning, is something that I'm extremely grateful for. It just has so much potential to make more connections, go to amazing locations, film great content, share that with all of you. And for that, I am extremely grateful. There are just so many other experiences and events that we have not yet had the opportunity to share simply because of the time constraints, both of the video and the actual stay of our time here in Russia. Just to give you a few examples, I got to go to a Russian high school and give a presentation to some Russian high schoolers. I got to go to the famous and the surreal Gulag Museum here in Moscow as well. There's just so much more that hasn't been documented, that has not been documented. And there's a couple more vlogs coming, so make sure you go ahead and drop a like below this video, and perhaps if you're willing to subscribe as well if you want to see some of the future experiences of our stay here in Russia. So that's about all I have for you guys today in today's vlog, video blog. So if you are interested, comment below. In fact, actually the call to action for today, what I want you to do, the CTA, comment down below, give me 3 things that you're grateful for. If it's your parents, if it's your job, if it's perhaps the fact that you have another day and you're alive today, I want to know down below. Comment below, I want to know, and we'll talk next time.